everyone, I'm here with kind of a fun video. I'm just going to show you my record collection today. I think I did this like a while ago, but I've gotten a few more since, so I thought I would show you all of the records I had. I really got into last year collecting records. I think it was a couple of years ago actually, I got like one of those portable record players that you can get. It's kind of like a little suitcase, and then you open up and there's a record player inside. I really like it. I guess for me there's a sense of nostalgia about it, because I grew up with records and cassette tapes and all that stuff, being a child of the 80s and all. So I grew up with all that stuff, and so it's nice to see that it's back. Another reason that I like collecting records is because these days with all the streaming services, you don't actually own the music. Anybody could, it depends on what that streaming service provides. If that platform goes away, then that music is gone. So you don't actually own the physical item. And so for me, having records is important because you actually own a physical item. Spotify or iHeartRadio can go away. You still have music. So I like owning physical items about things. Not that I don't listen to things like Spotify and stuff. I think they're handy for sure. But to me, owning the item is better. And also more of the money goes to those artists. Unfortunately, streaming services and downloads do not give much money to artists. It's barely anything. There are artists who have millions of downloads and barely see any money from it, which is just awful and horrible and does not encourage new artists to make music. It makes it harder for musicians and artists to make music. So I like to support artists by buying things like records and buying their merch from their sites, and also going to shows. Those are probably the biggest ways that you can support the artists and musicians that you love. Before we move on, if you hear little noises and stuff in the background, there are children in my house, and children are not always quiet, so excuse if you hear noises, that's for sure. So let's get on with the record collection that I have. Let's get started. Okay, so the first one I have here is Judas Priest's Hellbent for Leather. I like to keep it in the nice sleeve here. This is from, I believe, the late 70s. I'm just looking for a year here, 1978. So this is not probably my favorite Judas Priest album, but I do enjoy it a lot. I think I was looking for some of the songs on here that you might have heard. Hellbent for Leather is probably the one that is the most popular. This is, again, not one of the most popular albums. This is before they had the big British Steel one that kind of broke them into the American market. So, but I do like listening to this once in a while. So that is one of my Judas Priest albums. I also have here Metallica, To Live Is to Die. This is a live recording. It is an FM broadcast from the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis on November 24th, 1988. So it is a live recording. This is after Cliff Burton died, and so Jason Newsted's here. This is 1988. So this would be around the time of the And Justice for All album. So I do like listening to these. I find there's a local store in my area that has some of these live recordings I really, really enjoy, because it's very different than what you get, sort of with standard albums. So this is a really fun one to listen to. I have, of course, the classic Appetite for Destruction album. There's the back there. Again, we've got still, I try to keep the plastic on these just to keep these nice. So classic album here, one of my favorites, of course. So I have that one. Another classic, I keep bending over, but they're on the ground, is Girls by Motley Crue. Again, this is a late 80s one. That's a classic. Of course, it has Girls. It has Wild Side, all that on there. So I enjoy listening to this. It's kind of fun. It's a vinyl reissue. There we go. Somebody's making noise upstairs. This is one I found that's really cool. Metallica in Winnipeg, where I'm from, 1986. It's a Canadian broadcast. This is right after Cliff Burton died, and they just had Jason Newsted join. It is really fun to hear this because it's in Winnipeg. It's at the Pantages, I think it is, which is a local sort of theater. that has concerts and things. It really does sound though like somebody just held up a tape recorder in the middle of the room. Its audio quality is not great, but it is a lot of fun. And this is another live one that I found at a local bookstore that has a lot of albums and things. The next one's another live recording album that I have. It is Guns N' Roses at the Perkins Palace, 1987. So this is kind of before they got really, really famous. This is December 1987. So they released Appetite for Destruction in July of 1987, but they didn't really take off in a huge, huge way until the next summer in 1988. So some of us knew about it. I knew about it at that point. A lot of kids kind of knew about it, but they didn't blow up as huge. It was kind of an underground thing until like I said, in the spring, summer of 1988. So this is kind of a fun one to listen to. The audio quality on this is okay. But it's just a lot of fun, and you can kind of hear where they were going with certain songs they released later on Use Your Illusion. Next we have Van Halen, classic album. I think this is 78. 78. Yes, I was right. Okay. So this is their first album here. This is, again, fun, classic one to listen to. I quite enjoy this as well. A good Van Halen. It's nothing deep, but sure is enjoyable. Some great guitar work by Eddie Van Halen, of course. So I enjoy this one too. The next one is probably one of my favorite ones. Deer Creek Music Center, the Perkins Palace one and this one I always get mixed up. The Perkins Palace is probably my favorite one to listen to of the live GNR ones. It's great. You can hear the banter with the crowd. This one's a little bit later. This is 1991. The Creek Music Center, it is a live FM broadcast. This is enjoyable too. But I think, I like the other one just a little bit better. He has, like, Axl's talking to the crowd more. It's just a little bit more raw and rough and stuff. So, but I still enjoy listening to this. And all of the live albums, because they're just so different from what you usually get with a record. This is one of my favorite Judas Priest albums here. We have the Screaming for Vengeance with the wonderful eagle logo on here. So cool. This is the one with Another Thing Coming. Also got Screaming for Vengeance, of course, Devil's Child on here. Some really, really great ones. I really enjoyed Judas Priest in the 80s, and I also like their album that they released a couple of years ago. The 70s stuff, you can kind of see where they were trying to go, but they really kind of broke through into their sound in the 80s, so I really enjoy listening to this one. Next, I have the reissue, the giant box set that's so heavy of Appetite for Destruction. I don't know if you can see it, because it's like kind of embossed on there. But this has in here, it has like Appetite for Destruction. There's a book in here as well. It's like massive and heavy and huge. So it's got this really cool book that says Appetite for Destruction on it. It's got all of these amazing pictures in it. This came with like posters and swag. This one has CDs. I feel as records as well, or maybe it was just CDs. It has CD reissues of some earlier recordings of Appetite. It's got it's got the actual album. It's got a bunch of stuff. Why did I think there were records in here? This is just the book and the CDs. Anyway, it's really, really cool. Oh, wait, here we go. So this is more of a box set type thing. And then this has like a bunch of different just like posters and pictures and stuff like that. So I guess this isn't really records. I keep thinking there's records in here, but there's not. And I'm dropping stuff, and there we go. Okay. Okay. I might cut that out because that's not good. All right. Okay, so that is my big Appetite for Destruction box set that I'm trying not to destroy this camera setup with. down. Gonna cut out me struggling with this, I think. Okay, there we go. That's massive. All right. And then last but not least, we also have the Slash set that came with Slash and Miles Kennedy, their latest album that came out. This one's cool because it's got a yellow record in it, which is kind of neat, kind of different. There we go. Nice yellow record. It's different. It's kind of neat. It kind of makes me think of like in the 70s and stuff where sometimes bands would do like different colored albums, like just as like a kind of cool, neat kind of thing to do. This came with as well. Oh, it's got a little mini record in it as well. There's 2 big albums and a mini album, and it's a book as well. So very, very cool. Got all sorts of neat things in there, which I like. I like collecting things like this that are kind of different, kind of neat, a little bit more deluxe. That's also where I got this hoodie that I wear all the time. It was kind of like a whole set. It came with this and a hoodie and stuff. And I think that doing stuff like that is like a nice way to give fans a little bit extra stuff. And it's also like a good way to support bands too when they're releasing things. So yeah, that's my record collection. I'm hoping to grow it a little bit more, especially with Christmas coming, because I just really like listening to records. There's something fun about them. I know sound quality isn't always the greatest, but that's kind of part of the fun too. I like that kind of the sound that records make, and just, you know, they're very physical, tactile type objects. So that's my record collection. Let me know like what's in your collection. Do you collect records? My stepdaughter collects CDs. She's very into that. I know some people really like collecting cassettes as well. That's become a very punk rock thing to do. Let me know what you think. Or do you just like streaming? Do you think that why have a bunch of stuff, you know? Let me know what you think. On business side of things, not record or music related at all, but in the Patreon, we are working this month with Pluto. We're working with shadow work on both the Coven and the Witch School. If you're interested in that, you can click on the doobly-doo links down below and join me there. And thank you, of course, to all my patrons as well for supporting me. I really appreciate it. It is awesome and allows me to make more stuff. So thank you so much. And thank you all for watching and commenting and all of that kind of stuff. So anyway, I hope to, you know, get some more stuff over the winter and then do another record update maybe in a few months. Thank you again and have a wonderful, wonderful week. And as always, peace and love and rock and roll.